and we welcome you to the 2025 Fullerton College Welcome Block Party. I'm Ryan Osborne, joined by Mark Pavlovich, and, well, the entire, we'll say, event is going to be based off of celebrating that the spring semester is back here at Fullerton College. And, Mark, you look at the spring semester for Fullerton College, it's a wealth of new opportunities for students who may not have been to this college yet, or maybe for students who are looking to return, getting a chance to start things off well.
Well, yeah, one of the oldest community colleges in California. I think the thing that's nice is this is not a community college that doesn't continue to grow. We've got new buildings on campus. We've got new buildings projected for the future, a new theatrical department across the street, a new welcome center on the side, and we have really some fantastic new programs around. When we look at Hornet Media, not only is Hornet Media what it has been in the past with journalism, but every day Hornet Media grows as we look here at Fullerton College.
It does indeed. And you're talking about Hornet Media. That is an entire encompassment, if you will, of Hornet Radio, The Hornet, and Inside Fullerton. 3 different media outlets here at Fullerton College that all get together and comprise Hornet Media. So when there is a collaborative effort between all 3, such as today, it's Hornet Media. It comes through Hornet Media. The Hornet, if you're not familiar, one of the best newspaper groups in all of Southern California. The students have won multiple awards, and not only just this last year, but across the last 100 years. If I remember correctly, Mark, they are celebrating 101 years of being a student publication here at Fullerton College, which outpaces a lot of the 4-year programs across the country.
Well, yeah, and when you really think of them as a journalistic group, their whole attitude is to look at journalism not just from an academic point of view, but actually from a worldwide point of view and a local point of view. They really go out and expose what is going on in society, be it good, bad, indifferent, or just everyday life. And that's the thing that makes it interesting. Journalism's never going to go away. It's always going to be there. Anytime somebody's going to make news, somebody's got to tell you about it. And that's what our journalism department does. And like you said, Ryan, awards, they are multi-million. We talk about state-winning athletic programs here. Journalism is just as sound.
They have indeed done exactly that. And you look at Inside Fullerton, Mark, I switch it over to the magazine portion of things. You and I have been stunned over the last few years, and it's got a legacy that goes back dozens, 50, nearly 80 years in and of itself in Inside Fullerton across all the different names it's had, but it's all one brand that has been continuous here at Fullerton College. And not only have they won awards, but they also have taken an attitude of, you know what, if it's around the community and if it affects the community, it's something we need to report on and be able to put into our magazine. Lately, the last one that they had, well, if you haven't had an opportunity to take a look at it, the cover is stunning, but it's also what's inside that really allows people to understand what's going on in the Fullerton community.
Well, it was fun. I was setting up their table because they're still coming out here. And I had people walking by me staring at the magazine because they looked at the quality of the magazine. You know, if you grew up in high school and junior high and you did journalism, it was that little flyer that everybody stapled together and you handed it out. Nobody could really read all of it because it wasn't printed well. This is a high-quality, major market magazine that is produced by journalism with the additional help from our print department.
Right.
We actually have a department that teaches the printing profession, and they get it out for journalism. It's a slick magazine to look at, and once you open it up, the quality on the outside is just as good as the quality on the inside.
You mentioned that student magazine Inside Fullerton, 100% student-led. So that is all a group of students who get together, make sure that they get a quality product out. Like you said, they now have a partnership with the Fullerton College print department that has now printed all of the magazines over the last 2 semesters. So it's not even leaving Fullerton's campus before it's published.
Yeah, and when you think about it, too, it's a educational class, but it's vocational. You know, in community college, I've been around so long, Ryan,
Right.
that I go back to the old days where community colleges were that choice that I really don't want to go to a 4-year school. I want to learn how to do something. And we do have those programs here at Fullerton. But journalism was one of those ones that walked a fine line because you could take the J. Seidel classes, transfer to a major university, get that 4-year degree from a top school, and you're working in major productions. Jay also ran magazine local newspapers here, and his kids worked every day. So it's a vocational because there were people that came straight out of Fullerton College and went into the world of journalism.
So that is the Hornet. That is Inside Fullerton. We switch it over to Hornet Radio, who, well, on the topic of brands, is going through a rebrand. That will happen today. So if you are keeping up with Hornet Radio and you know them as KBPK, that's the program that Mark went through. That's the program that I went through as well. It is changing from KBPK to Hornet Radio as of today. February the 10th of 2025 is a monumental day in KBPK and Hornet Radio's history. Mark, you've been a part of the KBPK program and now the Hornet Radio program for many a year. It is a special program that has affected the lives of many.
Yeah, and let's be realistic. For those that are KBPK alumni like Ryan Osborne, myself, Corey Nalen, Joseph Poplinko, people that are involved every day. We can go back to some of our instructors. Steve Guzman went through the program. You have to realize that if you're an alumni, yes, I'm going to say it right now. Loved Ed Ford, still love Ed Ford. Ed Ford gave his life and soul to KBPK. Alumnus, you need to come to Hornet Radio. Look what the guys have done, the hours they put in to make the radio station from a technical point of view special. The multimedia room they have at the end of the hallway to make it multimedia. And to say Ed Ford, to say Joseph Pavlenko, well, I guess students 30 years from now are going to look at Joe and say, what a crazy old man. He never leaves Hornet Radio. And you know what? That's what the alumnus said about the old crew here. This crew is just as dedicated, just as talented, just as multifaceted of the crews of old. So no, Hornet Radio hasn't gone backwards. Hornet Radio has progressed into the future with two young guys right now guiding the ship and a couple old guys like Corey Nalen and I sort of sitting in the back hoping the ride's nice and smooth. If you're an alumnus, you need to come back and visit. I'm just going to put it flat out there. Don't sit on the sidelines. Don't tell me what it used to be. You need to come out and look at Hornet Radio now and realize what it is. And if you're a radio person, if you're a multimedia person, and you're an alumnus and you don't come back here to look, then do me a favor. Turn off the media. Don't watch it, because if you don't touch it, you don't see it, you don't know it, you don't understand what's going on. That's my words. That's how excited I am about Hornet Radio and where it's going. I love the past. You know, as an old guy, I love the past and I talk about it. But as an old guy that looks for the young people, I'll tell you what, this young man and his partner are going to take this department to a new area, a new plateau that nobody thought they would go to one day when it used to be KBPK.
Well, one line that I do appreciate from Joseph Pavlenko. Do you happen to have any questions? By the way, everyone who's watching online, this is the welcome block party, so we are talking to everyone who comes across the quad. Do you happen to have any questions, sir?
I just wanted to know what this was. I saw
Media studies, specifically what we're doing is we are having ourselves a live stream, and we also have our journalism department here in just a little bit. We're going to have them on. But this is a live stream of Hornet Media. So it's Hornet Radio. We're two radio guys. Over here we have our journalism department and our magazine as well. We are all one giant media studies program. So if students want to learn about journalism, maybe from a newspaper aspect of things, going out and getting stories that involve the community, they can do that. They can also go with the student-run magazine that has won a lot of awards over the last year and a half, and specifically over the last 10. And then if they're more focused on like live production stuff or radio stuff, they would go with Hornet Radio. So it's all one giant media studies title per se, but we are three different programs that help students out.
Speaking, I thought that's okay. You can come behind us. Yeah. Jessica, who's head of the department, just walked in here and she's wanted to
Thank
know
you.
if we were on. But this is who we are, and we don't mind talking to people while we're on the air. This will allow you, if you have any interest in radio, multimedia, if you want to be a writer, if you check out the magazine, if you look at the newspaper online, this department will give you any opportunity of working in the area of media. If you're a technical freak, geek, or whatever you call them, come by, play
Yeah.
with the boys. I mean, we've got all sorts of toys you can play with, and we don't mind sharing them with anybody as long as they have the same enthusiasm as Joe, who's at the house right now, working from there, Corey Nailen, who's doing the same thing, Ryan Osborne, and myself. We open up the door, say, come on and play with us, find out about the department, and see if it's your cup of tea.
Yeah. So go ahead. Awesome. So the person you would want to talk to and the gentleman that we are speaking to at the moment interested in writing, Jessica Langlois, who is the head of the department, she can get you involved with stuff like
Journalism.
newspaper, journalism, and also the magazine as well.
Yeah.
So right here on the left, that's who you'll talk to.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. So once again, if you are just tuning in, we are at the 2025 Welcome Block Party. As Ryan Osborne and Mark Pavlovich are on the air here, we're joined by journalism as Hornet Media. It is Hornet Radio. In addition to the Hornet and Inside Fullerton, 3 different programs, all helping students get what they need to learn to go out into the industry. So just a few moments ago, just before we were talking to this student a few seconds ago, Mark was talking about the past of KBPK and how it's going in towards the future. One thing that Joe brought up the other day, and I like this line a lot, and I think it's something that we should all adopt as a program, but he said, Hornet Radio is respecting the legacy of the past while reshaping the future of the program. And I think that's really what you were kind of going towards, Mark, is you're looking at Hornet Radio and saying, as an alumni, myself, I am an alumni of this program as well, but you're looking at what can this program get to and where can it start heading to teach students. Because if you're looking at it from a strict radio aspect, you and I both know very succinctly, radio has changed. It is not the same as it once was. When you think of radio, it's not just the terrestrial. It's not just what you tune into on your way to work or if you're in a car or if you've got one of those old AM, FM boxes that you carry around. It's not that anymore. It's not strictly that anymore. There's a lot more opportunities. What you're looking at right now is radio and a live stream. Stuff that can help students get into their industries that they would like to learn and like to explore and go into. That all encompasses radio as well. So it's respecting the legacy of the past, reshaping the future.
Well, how do you honor something of your past? You honor something of your past by making it better. You don't, it's great to drive around a 1932 Ford that's falling apart and you never fix it up. Or do you make those Fords better as life goes on? And so the legacy of a car company like Ford continues. What do we do here with Hornet Radio? Well, the legacy of KBPK continues. Yeah, we'll all talk about it, but as it continues, it morphs into a new world. And that new world now makes it Hornet Radio. Does that mean that we discard the past? No. We talk about what we did in the past. Ryan Osborne and Joseph Pavlenko went out and broadcast Fullerton College, Hornet soccer this year. The years you joined KBPK, you went over and came over because being an athlete and discovered broadcasting and your love of sports, learned to do your love of sports, and you, as one of the ownership people, because you're here every day, you and Joe make sure that we're always on the air. You took what Ed Ford had done in the past and said, we're going Hornet Radio, KBPK, broadcasting college sports. So what did you do? You made it better. And therefore, to honor the program, you make sure that you honor the brand. And the brand has always been radio and video here on. So, that's what it is. Looking here on Hornet Radio and the past and KBPK. I tell you what, when you talk about KBPK, and we will always talk about it with a lot of love, we all have stories. Corey and I have stories. Realize that Ed Ford understood in the old days that radio was transforming into a new world. Ed Ford and I went out many years ago. I'm going to pat us on the back. Ed and I went out and basically told people they should stream college sports when nobody wanted to do that. If Ed Ford and I had money, Ed would not be living in the devil's cauldron where he lives at now, and I would be living probably someplace on a big hill going, oh, they're still doing Hornet Radio. How nice. Corey Nalen, hey, you ought to come up. No, it's Ed was that far in the future. Now, we were called KBPK, but he was that far in the future. What did Ed also do? He created another brand at KBPK that now Ed owns, which is sportsnetusa.net. We were all of that. He started. When people look at us, Ed Ford started this, Ryan. You've been around and involved in enough of it forever. Ed took us into the streaming world. It's not like you and Joe got rid of KBP. You did nothing more than expand what Ed laid all the groundwork for.
Yeah, and I think that's the distinction that a lot of people have to realize, that if you're looking at this radio program, you got to realize we're in a brand new age, right?
Yeah.
So if you just harp on the things that were happening 50 years ago, 40 years ago, yes, that is legacy. I understand. I understand how successful things were in the radio industry on just strictly terrestrial. I get that. At the time, that was an extremely popular modem. But you know what? It's as simple as there's a song from years ago, for me years ago. Mark, maybe not so much. But video killed the radio star.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And that is the way that things have changed, because it's not just, people don't just want to listen, they also want to see. They also want to interact with things as well. So how do you change radio? How do you update radio? How do you keep it going? You expand. And the way that you expand is exactly what we've been doing at Hornet Radio since even before I got there. Like Mark was saying, this is a program that over the last 25 years has been moving into adding video to radio, adding podcasts to radio, adding the future of what this industry can and will be into radio. So if you're going to take that and continue it and move it forward, the way that you do that is making sure you expand on what people have just done when you got into the program.
And for those of you that talk about the past, well, all you have to do is not that the classes teach the past, but let's be realistic. 122 here in the program still exists. It teaches you the basics about running a board and everything else if you want to be on a radio station.
Really
So,
quick, Mark, before you keep going, want to introduce ourselves. We are part of Hornet Radio. We are joined with the journalism department. This is Hornet Media overall. Currently, we are doing a live stream just to kind of bring back students to campus, something that we do pretty often. Did you have any interest in live stream, radio, journalism, multimedia type of still? Okay.
You know, we ought to let him put the headsets on and talk to us.
Would you like to?
Put the headsets on
Alrighty.
and talk to us, you know?
Here you go. I'll even do this. Would you like to take a seat? Okay. So currently we're talking to one of our students who's just over to the left of the screen. We'll ask you your name.
There we
ahead.
go.
Testing,
Now you're
testing.
there.
There we go.
All right. Sorry, my name is Adrian Ortiz. I am a graphics design student and also a voice actor and also a content creator.
Beautiful. So when you look at Fullerton College, what specifically was the number one thing you wanted to get out of your time at Fullerton prior to signing up here?
I'm not quite sure on that question. I just know that when I came to Fullerton College, I was promised for graphics cert and everything.
Yeah.
But I originally was at Cypress College, the sister school of Fullerton.
Right.
However, though, that school screwed me over really badly because they said they don't do graphics design certs. I was supposed to be at Fullerton. So I've wasted 5 years in Cypress. And as soon as I told them, like, okay, can you transfer all my stuff? And they said they'll only transfer half, which was totally not fair. So, long story short, as soon as I told them, like, okay, well, you have to transfer all my stuff because I'm not willing to repeat it over at Fullerton. So, next thing you know, they decided to say no. That's when I got courts involved, and they decided to say, okay, we'll transfer all of it. So, when they transfer all of it, talk to the arts director here, and next thing you know, he says, okay, since you did this at Cypress College, I can substitute it
Yeah.
and we'll go from there. And then I was like, oh, cool. So all my credits got transferred, and I'm like, cool.
Beautiful. And that's one of the things, especially when it comes to the multimedia department. The instructors are very willing to be able to look at you and say, hey, you know what? What's your experience so far? Where are you in your current process of getting a certificate or a program? Um, what we enjoy and love doing is making sure that students don't just learn via a book, right? Because our biggest thing is that if you're going to go into an industry that's all about being hands-on, why are you going to learn the theory of it, right?
Right.
It's all going to be practical, how you can implement it into your everyday life. So myself, I came through the program. Mark also came through the program at different times. But one thing that they showed us both is how to be able to use the practicality of it and be able to use it in your everyday life and how it applies to you. So there's a lot of tailoring to it as well. So you mentioned the content creation and then also you're a voice actor as well. It bodes a lot into both of these, actually all three of these programs. Yes, it says media studies, but we call ourselves Hornet Media because we are Hornet Radio, which deals with the radio aspect and live streaming. We also have our magazine and then our newspaper as well, all one big giant family that allows for students to kind of get that tailored process that meets them where they are. So
Right.
that's our main goal. Is our biggest goal is to allow students to come in and not just be pigeonholed into one specific thing, but let them bloom in the type of emphasis that they would like.
Right.
So that's our big thing. Mark,
No,
you
I
have
was
any?
just going to ask him, so what projects have you worked on? I was a talent agent for 35 years. So when you say voiceover, I can look at the union jobs, the non-union jobs, and everything else that are
Well,
part of it. So.
I am actually part of a third party, which means that we have no names and no credits into the industry, if that makes any sense. Like, say, for example, if you were asked to be in a certain video game, we'll say Halo, for example. That's like the biggest game in the video game industry. And you got asked to voice as Master Chief. And next thing you know, the voice actor says, like, okay, I actually need somebody as the extra to voice the same character. If you have the exact same identical voicing with no problems at all, he will either pick you or have someone else to have, like, a different guy if he doesn't feel comfortable with that. And if he picks you, then cool. Then you get the same equal pay, but it's under the table. And you don't get the credit. Your name just goes in the industry. You basically get your
Interesting.
agent to get called up and everything.
Gotcha.
So
Awesome.
I've
So
done a couple.
you're lucky. You're lucky we're on the air and talking Hornet Radio because right about now, being an agent for 35 years, I'd get in a real discussion about this and talk about the legalities and everything of it, and the downside for an artist who's doing that because many of these projects are union, and if producers who have SAG-AFTRA contracts are allowing non-union people to work on their projects, especially with the world of AI coming in here. And if you look at the new voiceover contracts that were just signed last year, many of those production companies would have things taken away from them. And those actors that did that would never work in the industry.
Well, for me, I try to stay out of the cameras and all that stuff and stay.
Well,
out
it
of
has
the
nothing
fame,
to do with being on camera. It has nothing to do with being on camera. I mean, voiceover people are protected the same way that on camera are protected, and for the simple reason the difference between a non-union payment and a union payment is astronomical. And if there's residuals on anything, non-union people are not going to see that residual payment that union people see, and that's a different world. And if you have a specialized contract that's worked out, and somebody walked in, many of these companies that do do it below board, can easily get shut down if people want to go and seek them out. So, this is, I've worked in through the strikes and everything else. So,
Right.
The things of working on projects that you shouldn't be on, or a producer allows you to be on them, that's all on the producer. Because every performer wants to know that they've done something. To get no credit for what you've done, and you have no validity in saying you've done it, said, well, I did it. Well, where's the credit on that? Well, I did it, but I have no credit. There's too many horror stories out in the industry about that. Too many horror stories.
Now, before we keep going with this
Okay,
conversation,
that's a
I do
different
have
thing.
to
Joe's
switch over
probably
because
saying-
we do have a rebrand coming up with Hornet Radio. I'm going to direct you over to Jessica Langlo on the left side of the table here, on our right-hand side. If you're looking to join anything media studies and the stuff that we mentioned, whether it be Hornet Radio, live production aspect, the journalism aspect as well, you're more than welcome to. Talk to her. She will give you all the up-to-date information from social media down to classes and how it will help you in your everyday life.
All right, we'll do.
Thank you
Enjoy
very
it.
much.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate talking to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So once again, we're here at the 2025 Welcome Block Party, getting very animated. And you know what, Mark? One thing that we do appreciate all the time is the ability for students to be able to look at each of these instructors, or whether it be volunteers as well, and be able to talk to them as, you know, people who are interested in the industry, people who do have some experience, people who have worked and want to know more about the industry going forward. All the instructors here at Hornet Media have that experience to their background.
Yeah, and I think the thing that's great, I walked in, I have a little morning job that I do, and I walked into a technical house run by Sony today, and they let me go in the back, and then I started looking at toys. I thought about Joe immediately and told the guy, when the guy looked at me and he goes, oh, you're a technical guy then. And I went, no, far from it. I'm not even close to being a technical guy. But because of the young guys that I work with, I said, I find what you do fascinating as all get out. And, you know, it was just amazing. Yeah, Ryan saves the man. Yeah. Outside statements. Don't come over here and start saying things to an old guy that's worked in the industry so long and then realize, you know, it's always nice to imply. You know, I've done 1,000 things. I can't tell you about any of them, and I get no credit for any of them, but I've done them. Yeah, okay. I played in the World Series, too, just under a different name.
So when you look at a few moments ago, we were talking about the
Ryan's
Hornet
going,
Radio
"Whoa."
rebrand. Hey,
Hey, that's well, wait a minute. Isn't that a rebrand?
that is a rebrand.
Did it under a different name? That's a rebrand. The old guy just rebranded himself.
But you look at the rebrand, in addition to Hornet Radio getting a rebrand, you also have to look at the job that Inside Fullerton and the Hornet have done in terms of their own rebranding as well. You saw they didn't. Okay, actually, I should amend that statement. They didn't rebrand. They updated their branding, which is very different. Mark, how would you look at someone and give them a distinction on what it means from a rebrand versus a brand update?
Well, I know brand update is exactly what Ryan just explained it. I mean, you bring new things to the table. You don't change your brand because your brand is so well known, so embedded into society. And let's be realistic, Fullerton College is a society. Their largest community college in California has been around for hundreds of years. So the society is everybody to win here. How do you upgrade? Well, you bring it to a new value. I mean, and let's be realistic. When you look at journalism, now their magazines are online. Their newspapers are online. They've gone in the same direction as upgrading the program and upgrading the branding with bringing technology to their world. Ryan, in the old days, you would go and find the newspaper stand here on campus, and you would get a copy of the newspaper. Now you go online to do it. So it has been an upgrade from that perspective, and that has upgraded their brand when you look at it. And they are one of those people that are constantly active. It's not, you don't have to wait for them to put something on paper and hand it to you anymore. You can read their stories every day because they come out every day.
Well, Mark, one thing that I do want to talk to you a little bit about is KVPK. And while we are doing our rebrand here today, and if you are paying attention to Hornet Radio's social media pages, Later on today, we are going to go through an entire rebrand. We're going to reveal what that new branding, the logos, colors, everything that will change later on this afternoon. Specifically because I like to be in my office chair when we do a rebrand, personally.
Yeah, well, at least you have an office chair.
You
Some of us-
have an office
Oh,
chair.
okay, all
It's just
right,
not your office chair.
Oh, okay, all right,
But I
mean,
do want to talk about KBPK and going back into the old days of when you were a student here, Mark. Like I said, the old
Well,
days, the
we
olden
used-
days.
We used to have places we could put our horses when we pulled up, or if we had to, we'd get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and walk, no matter if it was raining, snowing, a windstorm was going on. We could make the big
Uphill
flood.
both ways?
Yeah, big
Okay.
flood in Fullerton. We actually had the kayak club come and get us and bring us to school during those days.
But Mark, I wanted to ask you, do you have any favorite stories from your time as a student at KBPK?
You know what? I do. I mean, the first time that I ever took a sports class at KBPK, the thing that was amazing is that there was a hierarchy in the student radio department, not the teacher radio department, but the student radio department. And there were certain places you could sit and not sit when you first came in. That's what I was talking about, having my own chair, because that's what it that's what it looked like in the old days. So I was with Scott Beck and Chuck Lasik, Tracy Thakra, voices from the old days. And because they were veteran guys, you couldn't sit with them. So when you walked in, there were normal rows, and then to the right where we did have computers. Just so you know, it wasn't chisel
Okay,
and rock.
okay. I was gonna say, did you have an abacus?
Yeah,
And you were okay.
we didn't have the old ABC thing up on the wall because
Hieroglyphics.
we all knew how to spell, and you would learn.
I
that,
don't know about that one.
Well, that's true. You would learn that the first games you did, no matter what your age was, that you had to carry all the equipment. It was the new guys or the new guys and girls carried all the equipment. And back then there would be like 15 of us that wanted to broadcast, so you got your minute and a half on the air, not like the Ryan Osborne era where once you got on the air you just stayed there, didn't give room to anybody else. So and Ed Ford, if you made a mistake, you would get Ryan and then a stare. And what was fun about Ed is the class was in front of him, but Ryan would talk to all the Ed would talk to all the veteran people. So he'd be talking about you because you'd be in the general population, but he'd be staring at everybody, the row of 5. But he'd be talking about Ryan, and you'd be thinking why he was staring right at you, saying, now you need to realize you have to understand how to roll up things because some of you just don't know how. And you would sit there and you'd go, why is he telling me this stuff? And those are the things in the old days with him. Plus, in the old days, that's when instructors could drive you to game. So Steve Hassler was lab instructor. So sometimes we had 9 guys in Steve Hassler's car, and I got to know some of my broadcasters very well on those road trips.
See, those are the types of stories that I love to hear from people who came through this program. On my own end, I didn't have anything quite like that, but what I did have was the thing that sticks out the most to me was actually an interview that I didn't do. So, not Delton Crandall, not talking about that at the time, but
he'll do it with you.
he
Just
will.
Stay here. He'll be here.
But my first semester joining KBPK, a very shy, quiet young guy, and we had another student in the class who was more outgoing, and we were all going to do sideline reporting from Chappelle Stadium for Fullerton College football. And being myself, I didn't talk very much, didn't want to be heard very much, so I didn't speak up when they said, who wants to do an interview with Tim Gordon,
Tim Gordon.
our safety from Fullerton College in 2014. And I wanted to do the interview, but I didn't speak up, didn't say anything. So the other guy takes the interview, and I was told, stay on his hip, listen to him do the interview, and then the next interview that comes up, you'll be able to take it. So I said, okay, sounds good. So as is the case with most of the first-year students, as they go through their first interviews and on-the-air moments, they're not necessarily the most seasoned in terms of asking questions. Tim Gordon had some of the best hair you have ever seen of anyone on a football team ever. Think Troy Polamalu, but it was lighter. So he had the curls to it, went down to his chest, and my fellow student looked at him, and his opening question was, "Do you condition your hair?" And I looked over, and I was like, "That's a question we can ask?" And he followed it up with, "What hair products do you use?" And it was a 6.5-minute interview just on hair care, not football. Mind you, this is at halftime of the football game. 6.5 minutes on hair care. And I thought, you know what? Maybe this stuff isn't as hard as I thought it would be. So the next interview that I did, I tried to, kind of play with that and kind of go to one of the running backs, and he also had long hair, so I tried to do like one of those interviews. It was horrible. Probably the worst interview I've ever done. And I've done some bad interviews.
I was going to say, we could name a few.
Yeah, I've done some bad interviews. That's when I realized, all right, you know what? I need to be a little bit more seasoned, need to be more of a professional, and was able to learn in that program and in that class how to do exactly that. But that interview sticks out to me more than hundreds of interviews that I've done because it was a 6.5-minute interview only on hair care.
You know, my best time with Ryan Osborne and all the students that have come through the 145 class, hear about it to the young man to my right who is outrageous when it comes to doing interviews. He's one of the best. But his first time out with the old guy to do interviews, Ryan and I were very lucky enough. They had a alumni event here on campus. And you need to realize Fullerton College has some very well-known athletes that have come through this program. And so Ryan and I were going to go out and do interviews. Ryan was coming with me. And as you can tell, I like to talk, even if it's not always on the positive threat with a student or a athlete or a coach. And so I start doing interviews, and I'm looking for Ryan, see if he's talking to anybody. And over in the corner, when Ryan says he was quiet and shy in the old days, that's absolutely true. Because 20 feet behind me, standing next to a wall, was Ryan Osborne, staring at a crowd 20 feet in front of him. And I finally thought, why did I bring him out with me? Why? This is a waste of time. And I walked back to him and I said, what are you doing? And Ryan's reply was, I'm trying to get an interview. And I said, nobody's coming over to you. You're nobody. They don't know you. And he ended up staring at me, and I said, Ryan, come on over and talk to them. Well, what if they tell me they don't want to talk to me? What if they tell me to get away from them? I say, you look at them and say, thank you, and walk away. So Ryan went to do interviews. From that day on, he has progressed to many times during an interview, especially when he used to do the coaches show in the old days, go, dude, this is only an hour show, and as progressed to being the very talented and gifted young man that he is today here at Hornet Radio.
I appreciate that, Mark. Thank you. But I do remember the times of just kind of sitting in the corner, just going, okay, someone's going to come up to me eventually. But one thing that's great about this program, and that actually includes all three programs from inside Fullerton, the Hornet Radio as well, is that they teach you how to be able to go from your personality to being able to be outgoing when you need to, introverted when you need to. When that is going to be the most beneficial for you in your career, how are you able to make that switch? And sometimes it has to be on the fly and immediate. That is how you get trained, whether it be here with Hornet Radio, the sports class, the on-air class, or if it's something like over with the journalism side of things, Inside Fullerton does exactly the same thing. How do you approach someone and find a story? How do you listen to someone and learn that there's more to be able to learn? That's what these programs are able to teach you. They did exactly that for me. They have done exactly that for hundreds of students along the way.
Well, I mean, if you want to turn around and look and go, well, you guys like to tell stories, but you don't. I mean, Dave Lewis up in Northern California right now. Dave is a noted sports reporter. He has rolled over into media. He's one of Ed Ford's previous students. Dave went through the program, learned how to do it, went up, started his own package, got out there and started broadcasting his own, was noted. Then he has broadcast for the likes of the Oakland Raiders when they were up in Oakland. You had people with the Golden State Warriors that he's done pregame shows from them. He's done the afternoon drive-by. One of the students that we had here, because Ryan is a very prolific hockey person, one of the people we had here in our program, because we did Anaheim Duck High School ice hockey, a young woman wanted to be a hockey person. And we know at that time, Ryan Osborne, that the hockey world was not really open to all genders being around the ice.
Not at all.
And yet, you look at Emily, who came through our program, came through the program like you, ended up using the program and never gave up on her dream because of the program, and is now one of the better known female voices in the game of hockey today.
Yeah, she is indeed, and she works with the San Jose Sharks and in the San Jose area. She is their in-arena host.
She could get that out much easier.
She could do that. I can't do that. But she is their in-arena host for not only them, but also the San Jose Barracuda, and she came through this program as well. So the next thing that I'm going to do, I'm actually going to keep Mark here for just a moment, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring over a guest for him, and he is going to talk to Mikey Moran, who has been with Inside Fullerton for quite a few semesters and has helped their program be able to publish their last few issues. Thank you.
Magazines.
So
He's
I will
come
take
back.
these off for a second,
Okay.
and I will bring you your interview.
All right. So we're here at the block party here at Fullerton College, and basically what it is to let you know about all the programs that are up here. The study abroad program, the career center, the food bank, everything that's offered here, student development, the Emoja Club here at Fullerton College, the library division, and of course, we've been talking about Hornet Media, and we've been talking about journalism, and right now, I've got the current. Now, I'm going to say you're the current editor.
Former.
Former, but I thought you came back.
Yes, I did. Yes.
Okay. Mikey Moran, because I thought you came back to help Jessica to be the editor again. So is that true?
No, so I came back to be a journalism newsroom assistant for Jessica. Yeah, so I'm basically her PR team, her assistant, her office administrator. Yeah. It was a great position that she offered to me at the end of last semester.
Okay, so Mikey, you came through the journalism program, but why did you even choose Fullerton College to start with to come here to school to study journalism?
Yeah, well, it was a funny story. I started at Cal State Northridge, but I didn't have the best time there, and Fullerton College was my next choice, and I felt so much happier coming here. It does feel like a community college, and I knew I wanted to do journalism from high school since I liked writing, I liked talking to people. I love the human interest aspect of journalism, and yeah, I've been having a great time, and I've loved the program. Yeah.
So you've been involved in all of the aspects of journalism with Jessica through the years that you've been here, because, I mean, you've got the magazine, you've got the newspaper, you've got podcasts that goes on, you do stories every day because it's an online newspaper. I mean, what aspect were you searching for, and in the world of journalism, did you find that fulfillment through the classes you took here?
Yeah, I mean, growing up, I read a lot of print magazines, and I really loved interviews, and I always wanted to be a part of that world in some capacity, and I think I've definitely accomplished that. I wrote about my own interests, about going to concerts and parties and talking to people, and I even pitched the story of this former model contestant on America's Next Top Model who faced mistreatment. So I got to tell her story on the mistreatment she faced behind the set. So I learned a lot about how impactful journalism can be, and yeah, journalism's just taken over my life. I love everything about it, and yes, I did accomplish that fulfillment, I think, yes, and I want to keep doing it. I want to keep pursuing it.
And your journalism department just wasn't that one-man show. I mean, basically it was a family. You came upstairs one day and did a podcast up in our multimedia room,
Yes.
and I met a variety of your colleagues through the years since you've been here. I mean, what was that aspect like to down there? Because basically it's a student-run operation.
Yes.
You don't have an instructor going out and saying, "Oh, by the way, see that black bag? That's what you're doing today. And it
Yeah.
better be done this way." So, what was it like to basically be given a free reign with other students that maybe you didn't know them,
Yeah.
maybe you didn't know their background? What was that like to finally embrace everybody, or was there that? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I always have a little bit of social anxiety, but I think even just being a part of this program has really allowed me to open up and be more confident because you work with so many different types of people. And even though, yes, it is a student ran publication, it's a real world experience. And even now, interning at LA Magazine, which I'm doing this semester, I realized I learned so much just by being in the newsroom and working with Jessica. I feel like Jessica really sticks to her role as an advisor because she advises us so much and she coaches us so much and works us up to the point where even though we may get thrown in into doing something we've never done before, like reporting or writing a story we aren't as familiar on the topic for, we have the ability to, we have the support system and we have the resources in place to really uplift us in the program. And yeah, I think it's been a great program for me, and I've been able to meet so many other ambitious student journalists that have really shaped me as well as a person and have allowed me to be a better collaborator as well, because everything that you do in journalism involves multiple people. It's multiple people. What's that one phrase? It's like multiple hands in the pot. You know, like it's like a lot of, it takes a lot to put out a print publication and even a digital publication, and it goes through editors and stuff. So yeah, it's taught me so much how to work with other people, and no matter what, even if like anybody who comes into the program doesn't pursue journalism after it, these are like real world skills that you learn that you can apply anywhere, and I love it so much.
hey, you know, and the other aspect, everybody can go through a program, and at the end of the day, you know, they go, "Well, I wish my instructor would have encouraged me." What sort of encouragement do you get from the instructors that you deal with that have all come out of the industry of journalism? I mean, is there that love and patting on the back? Is there that push that says, "Okay, it's time for you to go, get out
Yeah.
the door"? So, I mean, tell me a little about the instructors that you've had here at Fullerton College.
Yeah, well, definitely the most prominent professor for me is obviously Jessica Langlois. I've taken multiple of her classes, and other journalism classes I've taken have been mostly online, so I can't really speak on those professors, but Jessica herself, she's very uplifting, and like she doesn't sugarcoat things. Like she's not going to tell us something is good if it's not good, but like that's how life is, and it really like teaches us how to be working professionals. And yeah, so she'll encourage us up to the moment and like tell us that we can do it and that we can like do the story that we're doing on, or interview whoever we're interviewing for. And also her journalism experience is so vast, and like she feeds us her brain all the time, so just observing her working style and hearing what she has to say just gives us the confidence to really do anything in this journalism world. So yeah, I love Jessica, and she's really like, there's been moments in time where I've like taken a couple of the things that she's told me like personally, but it's like I can't like take it personally because that's just the real world. Like if I want to be competent in a professional setting, I need to be able to push that aside and realize that I need to take that as improvement and take the note to just better myself. And but Jessica's so great, and she'll tell us when we're doing something really good, and she like commends us for it, but she also tells us when we can improve something. So I just appreciate the honesty, and yeah, she's great.
So you take the love you've gotten from Jessica, the knowledge you've gotten from all your instructors, the experiences you've had with all the students that you've attended with here at Fullerton College, and the award-winning product that you've helped put out. Where's the next step for you?
So yeah, I mean, I definitely want to do something still in the communications, journalism, public relations realm. I'm interning at LA Magazine right now. I've previously interned at 2 PR agencies, so I'm keeping my options open. I'm not too sure if I would want to do freelance journalism personally, but I am interning right now at LA Magazine to see how I like it, and I'm getting my first article published very soon too. So I think I still definitely want to do something in professional media, whether that's working at a PR agency or working even for a magazine. I'm liking it a lot so far. I don't know. There's a lot to do with this field, and I just definitely want to do something with writing and talking to people and being out there. So yeah, I'm not too sure, but I know I definitely want to stick with this field that I'm in. and I'm so proud to have been a part of it, and I would not rather be studying anything else. Like, this is the perfect choice that I made.
Before I let you go, people watching us right now, if there's somebody sitting out there right now and going, oh, journalism, I like to write, I'm not quite sure, oh, Fullerton, that's about 20 miles from my house. Go ahead, give the sale pitch. Why should they come and study journalism here at Fullerton College?
You should come and study journalism here at Fullerton College because we've been a program for over 100 years. We're a department of student excellence. We've won multiple awards. We beat out schools like UCLA, and we get to do a lot of hands-on things. Like, this isn't like technical and like practical things that you're learning in a classroom. It's like, no, like, we're applying it. We're out there actually doing the thing. And yeah, I've learned so much about journalism since my first semester I was here at Fullerton College, then my first semester that I took doing journalism at Cal State Northridge. Like, I really appreciate just being thrown into doing something, but having the resources and the support to be able to do it successfully and well. So being here at Fullerton College has been an amazing experience. I love the school. I love how it genuinely feels like a community, and how everyone is so nice here and everyone is here to support you. And yeah, no matter where you're coming from, I know one of the editors on the magazine, she drives from Compton all the way to come over here. So yeah, I would 100% recommend it, and I'm so glad that somehow my four-year university that I was at my first semester of college didn't work out, because the stars aligned for me to come here and be a part of this amazing program. So I would 100% encourage everybody to come to Fullerton College and do the journalism and radio program. It's great.
Thank you, Mikey.
Yes,
I'm going to let
thank
you
you.
go back and get back to the other table.
Yes.
But I tell you what, talent is sitting next to me. If you
Thank
ever
you.
have the opportunity, make sure you check out the magazine, the newspaper, everything. And if you see this young man's name on it, hey, you know what? Stop and read the article. That's the
Yes.
only way that
Yes.
people, writers like him, get to be known. It's if you say, hey, I read this article, I don't remember the name of the article, and I don't know the writer's name, doesn't do him much good.
Right.
Stop and look at what he does. And if you're somebody out there that owns that publishing company or has an idea, but you can't put it down on paper, you always know that you could come on over here to Fullerton College,
Yes.
ask Jessica, hey, could you tell me how to find this young man? And then you could sit down with him and maybe
Yes.
together collaborate on the
Yes.
next
Happy to help
big
anyway.
thing that's
Yes.
going on there. I mean, I'm going to promote the students and their futures all the time, and this is a
Yes.
bright, talented young man
Thank you so much.
sitting next to me that should have every opportunity out there. So not only did he tell you to come and study here, but make sure you turn around and thank him by giving him an opportunity.
Thank
being
you.
here.
And yeah,
Now-
I'm going to end on a note. Support local journalism, read your local papers. Yeah, it's great to read more. And I feel like we all need to be actively involved in our community. And the only way by doing is by knowing what's going on. So yeah, support journalism.
Mikey, thank you.
Thank
I appreciate
you.
it.
I
All right.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So Ryan Osborne will come on back in a second. I'm not getting rid of Mikey. He's actually manning the table for journalism all by himself. So he's over there. So it was, Ryan giving him a break and Ryan walking away from me going, if I distance myself from the old guy, maybe any harsh things he says won't fly back on me, because I'm sure Joe's taking certain parts and going, we should have recorded it this because we could have edited a few things. Ah, Joe, come on. You know it's the old guy. Oh, I guess I'm going to let Ryan talk for a while.
Well, I was going to say, if you go through the radio program, you
Yeah.
would think that the people going through the radio program would toss the other radio guy back on the air.
Oh, Joe, I've got some stories to tell you. You were looking for them? Mikey told me all about the program, which was fantastic, Ryan, and what he has done, what he has accomplished here. And I think, more stories like that need to be told about the different departments. It'd really be nice if we had, somebody come through the program, and I know somebody'd be saying to me, well, you're bringing people back from the old days. But I'd love to have a Nathan Percy come on the air and talk about what he's doing now. A Rashawn Haylock come on the air and talk about what he's doing now. A Ben Root. And these are all the people that came through the sports program, so I'm a little prejudiced with those people. Or even Fred, National Public Radio.
That's
if
true.
he had time to come on the air here at Hornet Radio and talk about the times he was here at Hornet Radio and what he learned from the program as it comes through. If you want to do and you say, wow, you guys like to talk a lot, you're very verbose, not too skilled, but very verbose, then come join us at Hornet Radio. There are multiple classes that you can take that will teach you the radio skills you need to know to maybe do your own podcast, to work for a local station, to work your way up like Gil Perez did in his days as a graduate from KBPK, to work in major radio in Los Angeles. These are the people that teach here. These are the people that will tell you about the future of radio here, and these will be the people that will guide you and let you know how you can progress as the people who are now taking classes here at Hornet Radio can today at this lunch day afternoon in the sun.
Yeah, that is true. And you know what? If you ever have any questions on what the radio program is like, what the journalism program is like, you just heard from Mikey a few moments ago, you can always stop by to either one of these two programs. Myself, Joe, Mark will be there up in the station usually, unless we're doing something else on campus. But if you catch us at a time that we are in the office, you're more than welcome to talk to us and say, hey, you know what? Honestly, I'm not into radio, but what is it?
Yeah.
We'll have that conversation with you. Or maybe you're thinking to yourself, I do want to actually get into it. How do I get into it? What classes should I take? What should I do? What emphasis should I take? We can also have that conversation with you as well. We want to be able to have not only our listeners, but also students, prospective students, or people who are just intrigued by the concept in general. We want to have you... Wait, I was going to say, we want to have you have information, but we want you to be up to date with as much information as humanly possible, so that way you can know whether or not you want to get into this industry, because it is a fun one. I would know I went through it. Mark would know he's gone through it as well. But you get that chance to be able to look and say, okay, I know as much about this industry as possible to get to a starting point. Or if you're just interested because it's something that has piqued your interest, at least you'll be able to know and have conversations with people who have gone through the program and gone into the industry as well. When it comes to journalism, I can tell you for a fact, guys like Mikey or our program and department coordinator, Jessica Langloy, more than happy to talk to you on how you can get involved with the program, how you can take classes, and how you can move forward with your future in journalism. All you have to do is stop on by. And if you really want to, you can also follow us on our social media pages. But you start things off with going to our website.
Well, and here's the other side of it, people. Let's be realistic. Everybody thinks they're slick as snot when it comes to doing things. They really do. I mean, we all have egos, all right?
We do.
And, oh, I can do that. Oh, I can do that. I can do this. I can do that. And then you find out that there are certain steps you have to take to do that. You know, it's not just walk in and say, I'm a superstar. You need to hire me, because that doesn't happen in this industry. And so you learn the aspects of this industry from people that have gone through the industry, that have worked through the industry, and you find out how good you are. If we had people walk in this program and we've all looked at each other and went, holy mackerel, why are they here? They're that good.
And actually, to that point, Mark, if you are that person that you walk into this program and you are that good, we will very plainly look at you and say, you need to go out and get a job, not because we're being bitter about things, not because we want to be jerks about things, but because we really think that if someone has gotten themselves to a point where they can go out and get a job and they don't necessarily need to be at the program, we want you to go out and get a job. Go have fun. Go make money. Be in this industry. It's a joy to be a part of. And we're not going to look at you and say, hey, you have to stay here because we want you to stay here. If you can go out and get a job, or if you're at a point in the program where you can go out and get a job, we'll look at you and say, hey, you have the experience, you have the know-how, and you have put in the work. Go out and get yourself a job to make some money.
Yeah, and on the flip side of it, realize you're dealing with a bunch of crazy individuals. I mean, if you talk about crazy, there's Joe, who's at the top of the list of crazy. And then there's Ryan, who always will consider crazy. And I'm just old, people, so crazy just goes into that aspect. And if you come and say, hey, I'd love to be able to try and do this, I'm going to tell you, there's 3 crazy guys that are always willing to open up the door and say, let's give it a try. So if you're a music freak and you think you can produce the best music programs, or you think somebody that you're a broadcaster and you can look at people in Fullerton College football and want to talk football with them, you can do it through our sports program here on Fullerton
Ryan's looking
College
at us
Hornet.
like, I don't want to join them right now. Yeah. I don't know about that one.
Ryan Cricks just pointed back at us and said, see those 2 bozos, our head coach of football, those 2
That
bozos.
is what he is doing.
Yeah,
He
that's what
just
said.
pointed back at
he
us
was
and
just
said,
painting
you
the
know what?
picture. They got one camera and they do this grainy picture. And if you think you could call sports, well, come and take the 145 sports class with Corey Nalen. If you're that good, Corey will tell you what Ryan just told you. If you're that good, Joe will say, I hope you get a job someplace. But if you're that in between where you're not sure what you need to do, you have got some great ideas. But it's just like I said when I said, hey, if you want to write, go over and talk with Mikey, because maybe you can't put it down on paper. They will give you the skills to be as crazy as the whack-a-moles in our program.
Well, Mark, I do want to go to a topic that it's kind of off of what we are on a line of thinking. But at the same time, I think it's relevant for people who are just trying to learn about the industry for the first time. Too often you'll watch a game, let's just say like the big game yesterday, right? You'll watch it and you'll say, look at those seasoned pros. Look at those guys who have been there. Look at those guys who look like they are chiseled and cut from the perfect model of what a broadcaster should be. I can't take this program because I'm not that. I can't be a part of this program or have that in my future because I'm not perfect. I'm not clumsy. I'm not able to stumble over my words.
You lost me when you said chisel. Because all I could think about, wait a minute, there's Corey, there's Joe, there's you, and there's me. We're nothing but ground down rock.
That's true. We are the rubble
Somebody-
from
yeah,
which
that's-
the program
There's
rises.
Barney's next to me. Go ahead.
To that point, I want to go over stories once again. You mentioned stories from your time at KBPK that you felt were really dear to your heart, but I want to go over the clumsiness aspect of it. I want to go over the kerfluffles, the faults that we sometimes have as broadcasters. Can you name a time that sticks out in your mind where you as a student went, you know what, that was not my greatest moment, but you still continued through?
Okay, I'm going to say it here, and then I'll probably say it right, and then Ryan will correct me. So is it Prince Shinola or Shinola Prince?
It's Prince Shinola.
Because I went on the air, and Fullerton College football, since Brian Cricks just walked by, as soon as you said that, first thing popped in my mind, and I went, oh, it's Shinola Prince. And I'm saying it, and I had people staring at me like, what are you talking about? I couldn't understand why everybody was staring at me, because I knew I was doing everything right. Till when we had a break in time, everybody told me, dude, his name is. He actually sent me a text and an email. And he still talks about me today when Fullerton College broadcasting is brought up, and will say, oh, by the way, it is
Prince Shinola.
Prince Shinola, and then he'll write underneath it, or in your world, Shinola Prince. So it has not been let go in all the years that, was he mean about it? No.
Yeah.
He understood, but he let me know I'm never letting it go as long as you're alive, and that'll be forever. That's one of my best stories that actually comes about. There have been times where people have stared at me because they thought I said something, and I was hoping they were wrong, and I've had that happen with my broadcast partner, Corey Nalen, who one time in a game said something, and I got a text from our producer who said, what did he just say? And all I could do was laugh. The best time, though, I really have to say, was, and this happens to you and I, Ryan Osborne, if we get in one of our moods, can't look at each other, we'll start laughing.
That happened the other day in the studio.
One of us will make a mistake or tease the other guy, and then we go. Tracy Thacker and I had that actually happen at a broadcast that we were running through the station. He was our on-site producer, and Corey said something wrong. I got in there to correct it, and I looked over at Tracy, and he started laughing. So he had to pop me down because I started laughing. Every time he tried to raise the volume, I would look over at him to see if he had actually done it, and when I caught his eye, we'd start both laughing out loud. That lasted on the broadcast for 5 minutes. Realize this is a 60-minute broadcast. 5 minutes is one long time to laugh. And that's one of the strangest things that I've had some great times, Ryan. I've gotten to interview some remarkable people, some people that are known, some people that have done things that I would have no idea they were the person that did it. I think that's the most fun about taking the classes here in Hornet Media. You will have one experience, not that you'll become famous from it, not that the world will think you're infamous. Right. You may think in your own little world it was an infamous moment, but there will be times that you will meet people doing what you and I do that you'll never forget. I've gotten to do when they used to bring the roving wall here for Veterans Day, I've gotten to do multiple interviews on Veterans Day with some incredible men and women who have served our armed forces. I've met some fantastic educators and discovered what they've done, and I had no idea they were that person here because of doing Hornet Radio. And then on the sports side, well, there's always that ego trip, and I've had my ego trips on being able to interview some of the people I've interviewed. I mean, there's funny sides, there's satisfying sides, and then there's sides where you go, oh my goodness. You know, like Joe just thought I had one earlier today. Oh my goodness, you know.
Well, you know what, Mark? I'll even go with my own story once. It's something that you and I hinted at earlier, which is now an inside joke for us. But my first semester doing the coaches show, so this would be my third semester as a student. At this point, I should know how to go out and get an interview, or at least I thought I did. So I go out to practice, and I say, okay, I'm going to talk to the offensive line. So I get 3 offensive linemen, and 2 of them do the interview with me. But one of them says, hey, you know what? I'm sorry, I've got to go to class. Can I catch you at another time? So I said, sure, sounds good. So I go out to practice next practice. That's in a week. He's not there. I ask, hey, what's up? They said, oh, he's sick. Couldn't make it today. Okay, sounds good. So I go out the next week, and I say, hey, Delton. His name was Delton Crandall, offensive lineman for Fullerton College. Say, hey, Delton, do you mind doing the interview now? And he goes, oh, yeah, sure. His offensive line coach goes, hey, not today. We got to watch some film afterwards, and then he's got to go to class. So I say, okay, sounds good. Next week I go out. Delton, can we do the interview now? No, I'm sorry. I've got to go to class. You're catching me at the wrong time. So I said, okay, that's fine. We go to a Fullerton Union High School football game. Delton Crandall was an alumni of Fullerton Union High School and had played there as well. And it was across the street. It was a Friday night, and I catch him there. He's at the game. So I say, Delton, can I get an interview with you? And he goes, yes, this is finally. We have finally gotten to a point where I can do the interview with you.
I'll be there at halftime.
So he said, can we do it at halftime? I said, sounds good. Do you know where it is? And he goes, yeah, it's right up there in the booth. He points at where we're going to be. So I said, okay, perfect. I will see you at the half. We get to the halftime. I go upstairs. We're doing the broadcast. I tell Corey and Mark, and then also 2 of our students, hey, we're going to have a halftime interview. It'll be Delton Crandall. He's coming up at the half. Now, mind you, at this point, Delton is over to our left. We start doing the second quarter. Finish the second quarter, get to halftime. Students do a little run-through of what the first 2 quarters were like, and then we were going to have our scheduled interview. As the students are doing their wrap-up, I see Delton get up and start walking this way. So I said, okay, cool. We're going to have our interview. Then he keeps walking this way. And I went, oh, okay, he's coming up this side because it's closer to where our broadcast location was. We were a little bit more on the right, then over to the left. Then he keeps walking by and walks right out of the stadium. And I looked at Mark and Corey and just went, my interview just left.
We can't wait for him to turn around and wave at Ryan while he walked away. Yeah, that was one of the better ones.
Went back the next week, asked for an interview, and he was like, you know what? I'm just not. I don't like interviews. Can we just not do interviews this season? So I said, you know what? That's fine. I'll find someone else.
My biggest challenge doing stuff, you were there over at Yorba Linda High School. Rainstorm happens.
Yeah.
And I mean rainstorm. We were doing something with Ed Ford on sportsnetusa.net. And the referees, because of the thunder shower, and I mean it rained, guys. It rained. The easy ups were sagging. Ed was telling people, go down there, get my camera. Get that camera. So we were on the air. And I thought, okay, the referees came up and said, hey, we're not going to continue this game because of lightning in the area and because of the rain, safety of the players. So we'll let you know when we're going to come back. This is at halftime. And so I thought we were going to go off the air and you come back. But we didn't know when we were coming back, so I got told we're going to stay on the air. After 45 minutes of halftime, Corey Nayland finally looked at me and said, I'm going to bring you a guest. And I had a guest brought up, and one of our former Fullerton College football coaches. And for another 30 minutes, we talked. So I did a halftime show of an hour and 15 minutes waiting for a football game to start with Corey Nayland, Ryan Osborne, and others running all over downfield, saving Ed's equipment. I mean, and everybody was soaking wet.
Yeah, I was going to say, Mark's bearing the lead here. The true story was happening down on the field where we had an easy up.
Thank you.
He was fine. He was in the booth. But there was such a torrential downpour during this halftime that we had an easy up, very similar to like what's above us right now. Traditional easy up, the camera's underneath it, we think we're fine. It starts to pour, and it's raining more and more and more and more. And at this point, the wind is starting to pick up, so it's coming in sideways. Then we thought, okay, it can't get any worse, right? That's when it started coming through the easy up roof and dripping down onto the equipment. So by the time that we put everything away, we put our backpacks, we took off our sweaters to cover all the camera equipment, get it upstairs, we were very literally drenched from head to toe with rain. And none of us had a change of clothes except for one guy who went back to his car, got into a separate change of clothes, came back out and was like, hey guys, that was a fun time, wasn't it? And all the other four of us were just sitting there sad, unhappy, waiting for the third quarter to start. And the kicker, the third quarter starts, no more clouds. It was nice and sunny for the third and fourth.
Yeah, well, I mean, we have stories like that. We went down, and you would get to do this too as time passes. We went down and did a game in San Diego. We usually check all the equipment. We check it 2 and 3 times before we go down there and do things. We walked up to the roof where we were supposed to do it and then said, hey, where are the tripods? I didn't grab the tripods. Ryan goes, I don't have them. We looked at Corey and said, where are the tripods? And since supposedly everything had been put into a car that was rented, we looked at the person that rented it and said,
Where are the tripods?
where are the tripods? I think he still has that tripod he bought at his house. I know if he was watching this, he'd probably text me and say, yeah, and you know what? I probably ought to give it to you guys because I'll never use it.
But
I mean, things like that.
these are the types of things that people need to realize if you're trying to get into this industry or interested about it for the first time, or maybe you saw the big game last night, or you saw a recent news broadcast and you think, I'm not that person. I'm not perfect. I wouldn't be able to speak very well. I wouldn't be able to present myself in front of a camera or in front of a microphone. You don't need to have those skills to start. This program, whether it be Hornet Radio, Inside Fullerton, or the Hornet, all three of these programs give you the opportunity to start from where you are. Not where other people are, but from where you are experience-wise, where you are personality-wise, and grow from there into your own person in the industry. It's not going to be something where they pigeonhole you into a specific type of person to go out. Instead, they're going to work with your personality, work with what your skill set is, and work with what your interests are, and let you learn from there.
Yeah, and here's the other side of it. We had a young man that showed up today, alumni from Catella High School, had his cinema shirt on from Catella, wanted to know about what we do and everything else, and started looking at our camera that we're broadcasting on today. And him and I were talking about the equipment that we have here, and I said, and if you watched the big game yesterday, and Ryan agreed with me, when they talked about their well-known sideline reporter for the broadcast yesterday, Ryan and I both did the same thing. We looked at the camera he was using. We said, wait a minute. And we worked together. We were talking about this today. And we went, wait a minute. That's our Panasonic
Yes.
that he had there. So realize that when you come here to Fullerton College, like many other colleges you may go to them, it's not state-of-the-art equipment. It's not what people are using today. It's old. It's outdated. Nobody uses that. Not that there's anything wrong with learning on that equipment, because you may get in that situation. But I will say, guys and girls that are out there that are thinking about it, yes, you look at the equipment we use for broadcast, state-of-the-art equipment. You look what's in the studio, state-of-the-art equipment. Is Joe texting me saying, wait, how come
Joe's texting you and not necessarily telling you how come you're saying this, but he's giving you the old shepherd's hook and just yanking you right off stage.
Oh, Joe, come on, man. I'm telling the kids are all, what we got here. Come on, baby. We state-of-the-art.
Man, that is the thing, Marky. You look at this program, and as a person, it has been one of the best programs that you can see on campus that gives you live experience.
I was curious if you guys are doing like a live game coverage or what?
So currently we are doing a
should
live
we
stream.
Should we hand her the headsets?
You want to toss on a headset real quick?
We like visiting with everybody who comes and talks to us.
Most definitely.
So my name is Ryan Osborne. I'm joined by Mark Pavlovich. We both work at the radio station. Our other coworker isn't here at the moment, but it's three of us.
No, he's at home listening, criticizing.
But we do run the radio station, and this is a live stream that's going up on Hornet Media. Hornet Media is Hornet Radio. It's the Hornet, which is our student newspaper and our student magazine as well. Inside Fullerton is the name of the student magazine. So it's all three of those different programs all into one, and they produce content for Hornet Media. So this is a part of Hornet Media. It's a live stream kind of welcoming students back on campus. We're giving students an opportunity to see that they do have these capabilities when they come here to learn multimedia aspects.
Yes.
So it's Hornet Radio here, like we mentioned, not just the terrestrial radio, listen to it in the car type of deal, but live stream is included now. Podcasts are included. Multimedia aspects are included. And then also journalism and writing to go along with it, too.
Awesome. I just recently graduated from the University of Missouri, and I went for
beautiful.
journalism.
Yeah.
And I specialized in broadcast journalism. So I was a
Awesome.
sports anchor for NBC. And so I'm back at square one, and I'm at my junior college, what do I want to say, level again, and I'm just kind of remapping how I want my life to be.
Absolutely.
And I realized there were some things in broadcasting that I haven't yet covered that I still want to get hands-on training with. So that's what inspired me to come over here and ask you guys some questions.
If you are interested in sports broadcasting, we do have a sports broadcasting program and class. That's what I went through and ended up going to work at ESPN. So it helped me personally. Mark has been one of the lab instructors for that class for the last 20 years. And it has been a joy to not only be in that program when I went through it, but also helping that program out as well. It gathers on Saturdays, I will let you know. So that is, class time starts at 9 a.m. And then depending on what the lab is for the week, whether it be covering live games or doing sports reports or delivering delivering live news and sports reports, that kind of tells you how long the class goes for the week.
Okay. Awesome. Do you guys, can I get one of the papers?
Please, yes, absolutely. So this right here, CRTV 145, is your radio and TV sports broadcasting.
Okay.
And then each of those other ones gives you a different aspect of how you can learn, journalism or multimedia aspects as well. Jessica Q. Chen is one of our instructors. She's been a part of a group that ended up winning an Oscar, if I remember correct, right, Mark?
And she was part of a group that won an Emmy, too.
Awesome.
So our instructors, Jessica Langloy there as well, won multiple awards as a journalist as well. She's the program coordinator. So everyone that you interact with, whether it be in the radio side of things or the journalism side of things or multimedia side, has been out there in the industry and won awards.
Okay. This is extremely useful and helpful. I'm currently taking the drone class right now.
yeah, with Jay Seidel.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking to get my Part 107 license because I'm also a filmmaker.
Oh,
I'm a
cool.
multimedia journalist already. And so
Awesome.
there's some fine tuning that is needed. And
Yeah.
so that's why I'm here in community college again. And so that's
Absolutely.
why I said I'm back at square one.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I would definitely love to look into some of these classes. Thank
Yeah,
you.
absolutely. Please take that if you would like. We also have this, which has our social media on it, and then also some contact lists as well. And yeah, you're more than welcome to take any info you'd like.
Thank you. And then are you guys offering classes in the fall and spring?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Summer too, or is it?
You know what? This summer we will,
Okay.
which is the first time since I believe before COVID,
Yeah.
but it's going to be continuing from here on out.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time.
Absolutely.
Thank
Very
you.
nice talking to you.
Pleasure meeting you.
So we are here at the 2025 Welcome Block Party here on Hornet Radio.
Don't you like my magnetic personality? Just draws people to it.
That's
See,
true. I was
see,
going to
Joe?
say, we're
See, Joe?
here on Hornet Radio. We're also here with Hornet Media, inside Fullerton, and the Hornet as well. All one big happy family under the Hornet Media tag. That's where you are watching this here this afternoon. We're welcoming back students. It's the start of a brand new semester and a new opportunity for students to be able to come on to campus and realize, you know what, there are a lot of students and staff and instructors that want to welcome them back and want to be able to see where their interests lie. How can they help them as much as they can as students going forward, and what programs can they help them get into as well? Mark, I'll toss it over to you. I've got some people who are interested in journalism, so I'll talk to them for a second.
Okay, and talking about the programs like we were, I mean, it is really, it's really one of those things that you need to realize that, you know, if you really want to do this, don't sit on the sideline and think about doing it. Take an opportunity to take the classes. Come and visit the programs. Look at the programs and see what they have to offer. I mean, look when we talk about Jessica, and come on over and visit Jessica in journalism. She's downstairs in the 700 building. And give a talk to her. If it's one of those days that she's not busy, visit her office and ask her, tell me about the journalism program. What is the journalism program about? As a matter of fact, I should get Ryan Osborne and Jessica to come on over here and talk about that in just a second, and I'll take over the table. Don't sit on the sidelines. It's real easy to sit on the sidelines and kibitz and talk about what you're capable of doing. It's like, you know, sitting on the sidelines and criticizing people and saying, oh, well, you know, if I did that, I could do it a lot better. If you really do think you could, then give it an opportunity. Make yourself available. Try to see if it's something that you really love, really appreciate, really enjoy, and have it there. So, you know, if I get Jessica to come on over here, I thought I'd have Ryan and Jessica do the interview and come on over here. I had the pleasure of, yeah. So Ryan Osborne and Jessica are going to come over here, and you're going to learn a little more about our journalism department and what Fullerton College has to offer you.
Thanks, Mark.
So currently, Jessica, you look at this program, and one thing that we always love to hear from not only the Hornet but also inside Fullerton are all these awards that you're winning,
Oh, yeah.
especially over the last few years. Is there a sense of pride that comes to you to be able to see these students go from initial concepts to being able to actually see them win those types of awards?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think what's amazing is so many of them didn't think that they could do it. They didn't think it was possible. We look at the magazine the first day of class, and the students review what was done last semester, and they say, well, clearly these are like really, really skilled writers, and you know, this writing is at like a high level, and they really know what they're doing. And I said, hold on. Nope. Everybody who's got to that level was where you were. at the beginning of the semester or like one semester before you. Just the other day, we got an email from this California College Media Association, which represents all the student newspapers in California, both 4-year and 2-year, giving us an announcement about which of our students who we entered who are finalists. And I got to deliver that news personally to some of our students, including our editor-in-chief, Dylan Areola. And I let him know, hey, Dylan, you're a finalist for award. And just his face lit up, I mean, this is like, 19, 20-year-old kid, never thought he could be in this position. What? I am? For which one? And I said, well, I entered you for 2 things. I don't know which one is the award. And he's like, doesn't matter. And I was like, I don't know what place you're going to get. He's like, I'm about to be an award-winning journalist. So just getting to put that on, and it takes a little while. Some students, don't get it while they're here, but they might get it later. But a lot of them, they get something their first semester if they just have a great idea and work really hard on the execution. And everything comes together maybe by their 3rd semester, because you can kind of keep doing the Hornet, the newspaper, the magazine, multiple semesters, and just like with many of our radio classes, and keep improving. And then by a certain semester, you level up and you get there. And I will say the things that win the most awards are the most controversial. That's what people love to read. That's what the judges love to see, is that you're doing something hard. Writing about should police or the campus safety officers at the college, should they be carrying batons? Yes or no? That's tough. That's not an easy answer, and you have to talk to a lot of people, and it's very sensitive. But covering something like that, it's more likely to get, if you do it well, get all your facts right, get all the sides, that's going to get the attention of judges.
Well, you mentioned that. I think that one thing that is really interesting about your program is the fact that students are encouraged to research something controversial. And I think you hear all too often, especially in my experience at other schools, is that you don't necessarily hear people who head up a department or a program or help with these students say, you have my backing. If you go out and you research it and you do it well, you have my backing. How are you able to look at a student who is thinking about maybe getting onto something controversial and giving them the confidence to be able to go out and do it well?
Yeah, well, we show them examples of how it's been done before, and I also let them know I'm going to help you figure it out each step of the way. I'm going to make sure you know who you can talk to, who you should talk to get the full story. So kind of giving them the resources, because I've done a lot of controversial stories myself. And the best thing that you can get from a source is somebody saying that coverage was fair. Not even that they love it or, they hate it. Sure, they can love it, they can hate it. People are going to love it, they're going to hate it. But if they respect it, if they respect that you were fair, that's the best compliment that any journalist can get. So I've done it, so I can show them the resources. But the other thing is, it's not my story. It's not for me. And I actually am prohibited by the California Constitution and the U.S. Constitution from censoring students. So some of them might be like, I really want to cover this thing, but am I allowed to? What if it's critical of the college? Well, I'm going to show you how to do it, and I'm going to support you to do it. I'm just going to give you some guardrails in case you might come against some legal and ethical considerations. Definitely going to help you with that. But do it. There's times when I've had to step back and I say, I'm actually personally involved in this story as a member of the college. So I trust you. You know all the tools. I've given you all the tools. You guys have to do it. I can't look at it because I'm afraid I'm going to influence it.
Right.
I actually don't review anything before publication unless students ask me to, because I don't want to influence it. Or if I say, this is a little tricky, I recommend that you run it by me for legal reasons.
Right.
Not that I'm a lawyer. I can't legal. But, so I've had to step aside and be like, you do it. And I think when they feel like they have a sense of ownership, I'm not just doing an assignment, but I believe in this. This is, I feel strongly about it. I'm going to work with my team. We're going to take a stance on this, or we're going to, put our energy into this. Suddenly you have all this, new ability to cover something controversial because you have ownership over it. And that's with all of our media, is you choose what you do a lot of the time. You do your own thing, and you make it yours.
How often do you get questions from students that you also had when you were a student looking to get into this industry?
Often, and something that I've been starting to tell students more that I didn't used to, which I realize is helpful for them, is how afraid I was of becoming a journalist when I was in high school and college and starting to study it. I was so scared I wouldn't be able to interview people. I was terrified I wouldn't be able to hit my deadlines. I wouldn't be able to write fast enough. I was scared I wouldn't be able to hustle in a very competitive industry and make a name for myself. And so I kind of just wanted to go a different direction, but then I kept taking the classes because it was the only thing I was interested in, is writing and interviewing and, you know, finding stories. And so I found my way through it anyway, and I had a lot of hurdles. Some things I wish I could change, you know, and I can tell them that now. Hey, I would have done this differently. But yeah, a lot of them, they get nervous, they get overwhelmed, they're afraid, they're anxious, and I just say, hey, we all feel that. You're not automatically good at interviewing someone. It's not comfortable for anybody to go up to a stranger and ask them for an interview.
Right.
That's not normal, but you learn that skill here. So I think that's the main thing that, you know, students come up against, that I just remind them, like, you know, I've been there too. We all have.
One thing that we've been going over on this broadcast has been making sure that people know that if they do have an interest in this industry, or they do have an interest,
Hi.
oh,
Yeah,
please,
no worries.
no,
Yeah.
come on over.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So I almost took it was like a 4-hour broadcast class. I was interested in it, but then I got a little.
Was it broadcast news or on-air broadcasting, sports broadcasting? So one of those ring a bell? News one? Okay, yeah. Yeah.
Like obviously I'm not straight out of high school.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm like a non-traditional student, and
As are many students.
be like, do they kind of have an age limit in the industry, like
Oh, in terms of like breaking in?
getting jobs
Yeah.
and stuff, like once you're done with your schooling?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like, you know, we've all, you know, confronted ageism at some point. This is someone who's coming up asking if there's an age limit in the industry. But I've known a lot of people who've switched over and gotten careers at different points in their life. So I would not rule it out. Like, absolutely not. And especially like the skills that you can get in like radio and journalism, they can apply to so many different things. You don't necessarily have to become like a news anchor. You can go for that if you want to, but you can, and there's different size markets as well, you know, so starting in the smaller markets, more niche, you 100% can get your foot in the door that way faster.
And,
Yeah.
and to Jessica's point, we had a student at Hornet Radio. This would be about 8 years ago. His name was Fred Fletcher Fierro, who decided to change industries at 44 years old. Got into radio, already had his wife and his daughter as well, and said, I'm changing industries and I'm coming to Hornet Radio to be able to learn this industry. Spent 2 years in the program, went out to Alabama, now is in Missouri running an NPR station, and he got into it at 45. So that's where he started.
I will say, it's about the hustle.
Yeah,
it's about the
that's-
hustle. If you can still, you know, do what it takes to like get the story, do the odd hours of whatever shift you might get. I think that's why it's a little easier for people to start younger, because you can like fit that in. But if you're willing to do that hustle and, you know, you can show you have the skills, I think that's what employers are really looking for, you know, because it's like, you know, it's, you really have to bring it. You have, mhm.
I want to take a class that's like hands-on, where I can actually, like, there's the green screen. I'm actually
Yeah.
to practice doing things like
Yeah.
that. Like I've always been interested in kind of like doing weather.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, honestly, I think broadcast news is the first best fit for that. We haven't offered it in a bit, and so we're just trying to bring it back. But because of that, there's a lot of flexibility in what exactly it's going to be. But I think, and that can be like both instructor and student driven, but if you come in with that interest, yeah, you could pitch, I want to do a weather segment regularly. And, you know, we have, I think, the capability in the studio to make that happen.
Yeah, we have weather segments. We have a full green screen. We're able to color tone things out as well and put people at a news desk, whether or not we have them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So we have that capability.
Yeah. And honestly, like, there's a lot of publications that aren't like a traditional TV or radio station that are needing to introduce more of that content. Like, if you look at the LA Times app, the first thing that happens when you scroll up is their LA Times like TV program that they're doing now. And so there might be like smaller news publications that realize, hey, we need to kind of we need to create this. And so if you bring that kind of entrepreneurial energy, so you go through the program and you can be like, hey, we need to launch, you know, like a digital newscast or something to go with your product, you can even like maybe even get that started some places. Like I think, being bold, being gutsy, thinking outside the box, and using whatever life experience you have. Because I'm your age, like we have life experience, right? That we can bring in, beyond just being a 20-year-old just out of junior college, and that is really valuable too. But yeah, you're planning to transfer? Okay.
Right now I'm declaring my major as communications, but I mean, like I said, I am very interested on this
Yeah.
side, and I'm
Yeah.
interested in doing interviews and things like that. Just
Yes.
companies, like maybe corporate.
Yeah, I mean that sounds a little bit like PR. Yeah, so it could be we have the broadcast news is you're going to be on air, and I'm working on running that this summer. So we're planning to have that offered this summer as probably like a hybrid class. Hopefully that'll go, and then back in the fall, so you can keep an eye out for that. And then, yeah, it's CRTV. It's not on this one, but I can write it down.
I don't
Pen
have
over
a pen
here.
on
I have a
me.
pen on that way. Yeah, it's CRTV
go
129. Yeah, so CRTV is a mix of the film, radio, and television classes. And these, like, some of these ones are going to be becoming a JOUR, like a journalism class, because we're just shifting the program a bit. But for now, it's still CRTV 129. And then I'm hoping to also offer an on-air, just live broadcasting that's not as news-oriented. It's just a little more like talk content kind of oriented in the fall. So look out for that in the future. If you want, at any point, you can also, if you want to join, like, so CRTV 129, we weren't able to offer it this semester, but that's the one that maybe you were enrolled in that hopefully will be coming this summer. And then this is my contact info. I'm like the faculty lead of the program. So you can always follow up with me. But yeah, so we have the student newspaper, the Hornet also, and you can do multimedia for it as well. We don't give you as much hands-on training for that. You have to be a little more of a self-starter because we have to do written work and photos, everything for the website. But if you wanted to, we had some students one semester who were like, we want to do a newscast for the Hornet. And we just set it up, and they did it.
Yeah, I saw
Yeah.
that on YouTube, and I was like, that's cool.
Yeah. So pretty much most of our classes, if you want to do it, you can just, tell us your idea and do it. It's helpful. It's helpful if you have a little bit of training in it, but it's not required.
Not at all.
You
Yeah,
can just learn
on
by
our
doing.
end,
Yeah. Yeah.
on our end,
Yeah.
we are very much able to meet the student where they are and what their technical ability is or knowledge is. For us personally, it doesn't matter because we will be able to meet you where you are and be able to teach you from where you are.
So if you wanted to like jump in, like, hey Miguel, if you wanted to jump in like this semester, I would say you could do something like, if you wanted to do the Hornet, that would be the student newspaper, but you could come in and be like, I want to do like a weekly or every other weekly podcast or like this, like kind of video podcast, and you can do interviews. You can jump in with something like that, and then you'd also, no, you'd have to. Yeah, you'd enroll, and then, because the way that class is structured is it's like a club, but it's a class. You just have to get to a certain number of points by producing work for the Hornet. That can be writing sports game stories, theater reviews, breaking news, covering controversies. It could be doing social media. It could be doing something like this. It's sort of like you decide, and the editors decide what they need covered, and then you kind of do what you need, and then I give you instruction. And I'm the faculty, and then we have staff who offer technical support. So that's something you could jump right into. Or you could come into broadcast news in a future semester, which is a little more structured, but you will get like hands-on experience. Other ones, like, I don't know if there's still spots in sports broadcasting, but there is a
Yes, there are
Saturday
there are
sports
still
broadcasting
spots.
class. If you're interested in sports, then you go out to games and you do like live broadcasts at games. You do some other like video stuff. That's a great one. It's always an excellent class. There's some other classes in just like audio editing and
Audio production, I know Gil's class at night has some space.
yeah. So you do learn a little bit. You'll have to learn a little bit of it. Yeah. Yeah. But that's not your main thing. In theory, yeah. Yeah. You have to know a little bit of it. Yeah, and that's okay because when you get into the industry, there'll be people who are much more skilled at that and focused on it, but being able to go and like edit a quick package if you need to it's good to have those skills. So we'll show you. We'll teach you the basics. It's okay. We'll teach you the basics, and then you might pair up with someone who's much more interested in that editing side. You're much more interested in the other side, and you kind of work together. So in our programs, you kind of have. There's some people who just want to be behind the scenes. We're like, you also have to learn how to write a script and this and that, or write a news story, because you might have to do that at some point in your job, and you have to have a little practice, you know. But then you can focus on what you want. So yeah, I mean, I think if you have the interest and the will, you come in and we show you which direction to go. So you could jump in this semester, you could jump in the summer, in the fall. We're trying to build up our summer offerings right now. That's a new thing this summer. And then otherwise, every semester we should be having the same things. So I don't know what your transfer path is. You can also, after you transfer.
I don't know if I actually now I'm
Yeah.
I'm still torn between communications and
Yeah.
into. Do you have like a lot of
So communications. What's that?
because I was thinking about Cal State.
Yeah. So honestly, the communications and Cal State Fullerton program includes journalism. They're separate here. So communications here, it's a great program about like debate, argumentation strategies, all that stuff. Interpersonal, whereas the journalism program is much more production oriented for if you want to go into any sort of news. And so some people start in communications and they realize, actually, I want to do the journalism stuff. Even if you want to go in PR, those are the skills you learn in journalism, right? So the difference is, one, you're working for the truth, and the other is you're working for a company in the interest of that company. Same skills, just different, people that you're kind of working for. So yeah, you could, and I also can advise you if you want to reach out to me, and we can talk about our different degrees and certificates, what might be a good fit. If you want to stick with communications, take a few classes with us. Some of them count toward your degree anyway. When you transfer, you'll be able to get hands-on skills. You can always, we have people who get their degree and come back and still take more classes because they just want more hands-on. It's $46 a unit, so it's you can do it whenever, just make it work for you, frankly. But if you're if you want, so yeah, we can talk a little bit more about what your trajectory is and kind of figure out the right fit. But we're here, We are
indeed,
sorry,
yeah.
because people who are watching might.
So it would be the Hornet Media YouTube page. It is currently live, and it will automatically be archived at all times. So that's the advent of YouTube, and I'm very grateful for it. But yeah, it records instantly, and will be able to be played back for as long as YouTube's up.
Yeah, and we should get a direct link to that on the website as well, because I think we have the KBPK Hornet Radio one. We should get the Hornet Media. Yeah, we've kind of been in the process of a little bit of a rebrand, where the journalism radio department are becoming one. So we have, no, it's
Type in Hornet Media Fullerton.
Yeah, you should be able to find
and
it.
it will show up. You're very welcome.
Things we're gonna add next time: more QR codes, links, all of that stuff.
Yeah,
it's not until we
absolutely.
start talking to you and we realize what you need, then we add it into the flyer.
Yeah.
It might have been the one that got canceled, honestly, because we had to cancel a class this semester because an instructor was no longer available. So we're going to remedy that. But tell me your name. Shannon? Okay. Jessica. Yeah. Yeah.
Ryan.
Yeah,
Nice
so
to meet
reach
you.
out to us, and it's very, yeah, and you could jump in on something like this. You want to go on the air right now and talk to Ryan?
Right now?
Yeah, you could do
Absolutely.
it.
We have a headset
He
right
could
here.
interview you, or you could interview him. Whatever you want. You want to try it? It's low stakes. I don't think we have a huge number streaming, so it's this is a nice thing. You can start low stakes and work up to the bigger stakes. You can think about it.
I'll think about it. You guys are gonna end right now, right?
It
In a
is,
few
yeah,
minutes,
that's true.
yeah.
We got about 10
Yeah,
minutes.
About 10 minutes.
Yeah. But
If
yeah,
you'd
this is
like
how
to,
the
you're
program
more than
works. We
welcome
throw
to.
you in. We throw you right in.
Do you want to interview me? I don't know.
I can interview you. No,
Yeah.
100%.
This
I
is
can
if you
interview
go through the program, you learn like Ryan. You can interview anybody on the spot.
Yeah,
you learn
I took this
how to
program 11 years
improvise.
ago. Yeah, 11 years ago, and exactly like Jessica's saying, learned how to improvise and be able to talk to anyone that I may see. So all I need is someone's name, and I can interview them without a doubt.
Do you want to try being on the other side of an interview?
I'll be the
The subject.
You'll be the subject. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Here you go.
Let me give her
Okay.
my set.
Sounds good.
All right. Come on down.
Yes, you will sit right over here. You're okay to leave that there if you'd like.
I know. Yeah. Maybe just on the ground, just in case. Yes. Oh my goodness. Yeah. There you go. Hey.
So this is kind of the benefit that we've been talking about all afternoon, is that you get the opportunity when you're a part of these programs to be able to go through these types of opportunities to talk to different people. So right now, my name is Ryan. I'm joined by Shannon. Shannon, you mentioned a few moments ago that you're looking to get into this industry, but you had more of an interest on learning what it is first. Has that always been an interest for you of just learning what journalism can be or what live streaming can be?
Yes, I'm definitely interested in a lot of social media. I've been trying to start my own YouTube, and I've been on TikTok just trying to do some of my own little. I've been talking a lot, but I don't really know exactly where I'm going. I'm looking for a direction, but I am interested in anything media related.
Now, you mentioned the social media aspect of it, TikToks, and being able to reach a different audience. Has there been a specific emphasis that has always interested you in terms of maybe being on TikTok and being like, just as an example for myself, right? I love sports. Love sports, but I also love travel. So if I were to make my own TikTok and actually, decide to talk on something, it would be about travel and then traveling to go watch different sporting events.
Okay.
Has there ever been an emphasis for yourself that you've always wanted to go, hey, I'm going to make my TikTok about X, Y, or Z?
Yes. So when I was growing up and going to school and like high school, even junior high school, college, there wasn't a lot of support for the LGBTQ plus community, and I come, from that. I'm a lesbian, and so I identify as that, and I always wanted to put out a program, to help those that are sometimes they're growing up in a family that is completely against it, and I just wanted to provide that support. So that's something I've always had an interest in doing because I didn't have that support when I was growing up.
Now, when you mention that, I mean, how often are you able to see, maybe it be on a college campus or just in everyday life, where you meet someone who may not have that support at home, but they're looking for someone who was like them when they were growing up or who has gone through that experience? How often have you been able to talk to someone, kind of help them and say, you know what, I know exactly how you're feeling, and this is the way that it's going to be better just being you?
Yes, I feel like I've always just wanted to be someone they could relate to.
Right.
I didn't have anybody that I could just talk to as like peer support when I was going through college and high school, and it was like a very taboo subject back then, and it's not anymore, but still, I mean, we're still people are rising up against our community, and we just need more and more people to advocate for them.
Now,
That's what I think.
when you mention that, when you do get your opportunity to go into whether it be journalism, Hornet Radio, live streaming, how are you going to take that experience and be able to mold that with what your passion is?
That's a good question. I think that's why I really wanted to sign up for the classes, because I need direction in where I don't know my options yet, and I need to find out what options I have and what routes I can take. I mean, obviously, almost anyone can start a podcast on YouTube or, TikTok really seems to be the place right now, even though it's in a banned situation. But, I just feel like being visible, like visibility is like the most important, and that's, I just don't know where to start, so that's why I think I came to your table in the first place.
And you're more than welcome. Those are the types of students that we want to talk to, because I mean, for myself, just giving you a little background on myself, I came to Fullerton College because I wanted to play baseball. I was so sure I wanted to play baseball. Got here, was a little young. Got here about a year and a half earlier than most people would, and was basically kind of told, hey, you know what? You might need to wait a year. So I said, I'll just take a radio class because the word said sports broadcasting, and I like that first word, sports.
Right.
So as long as I could have some sort of sports class as something fun,
Mhm.
maybe that'll get me through my first semester. That was my thought process. Took the sports class, loved the aspect of radio so much. Not
Right.
necessarily just the sports aspect, still love sports, but loved the radio aspect of it so much that I dropped baseball altogether, dropped everything else, and that became my focus. That became my passion. Went through this program, transferred out, got a degree, have worked for ESPN, and it has been my passion ever since learning what my options were.
Right.
Because I didn't know what my options were when it came to this entire world of journalism and broadcasting. So like you were talking about, you want to know what your options are and what avenues you could have coming
Yes.
up in the future. Those are the exact types of students we like to talk to, and myself that I love to talk to because I was there. That was my exact experiences. I didn't know what avenues I could take. I
Right.
didn't know it existed. And
Right.
once I did find that, it became a passion to go into. So,
Yep.
one more question before you take off. Now, semester is just getting underway, and that is kind of what this block party is about. Is there one goal that you have in mind for the end of the semester that you say, if I could hit this goal for scholastic reasons, academic reasons, what would that be?
Well, I'm currently taking a public speaking class, and I was told that we might have the opportunity. Well, I mean, we will have the opportunity. It's an option we can choose to join the speech and debate championship, or not championship, but it's a contest of some sort in May, and so They said that if you take at least one communications class, you actually have the option to join that debate, and I actually want to accomplish that and
Awesome.
at least give it a try and see what it's like.
That would be absolutely awesome. We would love to see you in the future being not only getting that try, but being able to have that opportunity as well.
Right.
It has been great talking with you. Thank you very much. We do have to start ending this out because
Okay.
I'm looking at everyone else packing up, and I'm thinking, you know what? I want my sweater that's back at my office. 'Cause
It's
a
starting to
little
get cold.
Yeah. So I will end it here, but thank you so
Okay.
much for joining us. We look
Thank you.
forward to being able to talk to you in the future. If you do decide to go through our program or take some classes, we will be more than happy to be able to work with you.
Okay, great.
Awesome. Thank you
Looking
very
forward
much.
to it.
Thank you. Us as well. Alrighty. So you can take the headsets off. You're good to go. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you. Very nice to meet you. I've been Ryan once again. Ryan. Yes. Thank you. Of course. Thank you. So we're going to bring Mark Pavlovich back here as we wrap things up real quick here, Mark. Mark, I'm even going to give you a time limit here because we've got 4 minutes. And knowing Mark like I know Mark over the last few years or so, if you will, I know that a time limit is the best way to actually keep us on time.
Is that East Coast time, Midwest time, or Pacific Daylight time? So, Ryan, all I can say is that if anybody wants to do this, the best thing they need to do is to get off their couch, come in down to Fullerton College, sign up for the classes, and see if it's their cup of tea. We've had a great time today. We've laughed a lot. We've talked a lot. I've got picked on a lot by somebody who's not around here today. I won't mention his name, but I talked about him earlier. And, KPPK has always been a fantastic place, and all I can say is the future is there in front of you, and if you're not going to walk in the future, it's time to call it quits. We don't do that here at Hornet Media. So right around the corner, KBPK is going to slowly just be there as a great memory. Always will be in our hearts and souls. Always will be the foundation of a new world, and that new world is right around the corner for us here in Hornet Media. 5 o'clock today?
Yes, indeed. So 5 o'clock today, if you're paying attention to our social media, you will see the brand new rebrand for Hornet Radio as we go from KBPK to Hornet Radio. We want to thank Mikey Moran and Jessica Langlois for joining us on the air here today, representing journalism inside Fullerton, the Hornet, both award-winning programs that you would have in a very big honor to join if you get the opportunity to do exactly that. Also Hornet Radio, that is now Hornet Radio. As of today, it is official. As of 5 o'clock, we will be going from KBPK to Hornet Radio, where we respect the past and the legacy while changing and updating into the future. So that's going to do it for both of us. Once again, Mark, want to thank you for joining me on the air. For Mark Pavlovich, I'm Ryan Osborne. Thanking you for joining us at the 2025 Welcome Block Party here at Fullerton College. Until next time, this has been Hornet Radio.